Site plan. Seeks major site plan, conditional and site plan approval for conversion of a vacant storage building formerly an elementary school into 9 units of housing. MU-2 zoning district. And who do we have here to speak on this matter?
Joel Page with Scott Partners Architects representing the development team.
Okay, I am going to need you to raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you're about to present is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And if you would again state your name for the record.
Joel Page. David Frothingham,
Okay,
civil engineer.
Excuse me for a minute, you folks are gonna have to speak up so a little harder here.
Do you want us to come by the microphone? Is that better?
that
If
might
you
help.
come closer, the microphone isn't for this meeting, it's for council meetings only, but maybe being in the front of the room, closer to the folks might help. Thank you. Yeah, there we go. Good, thanks.
Okay, we have your application and the board has had an opportunity to review the material submitted. So if there's anything that you would like to expand on, comment on, add to, whatever you'd like to do, feel free to do so.
We could give a general overview of the project if you would like. If that's helpful.
Yeah, you have a very,
I do,
you're not going to allow.
You're all familiar with the location, 4 Hubbard Street. That's the old school that was there, looking to be renovated into an apartment building, 9 apartments, occupying all 3 levels. So there's 2 main levels, and then there's the former sort of lower level that you can access from not at the main parking lot, but down below, which you've probably seen on the drawing. The building will, in character, be pretty much as you see it today. We are highly regulated by the historic preservation grants that we're getting. So we're required to try to keep as much of the character of the building as we can. The existing ramp that's there that accesses the first floor will be replaced with a new ramp to improve the access. The interior of the building will be turned into, as I said, 9 apartments. 2 on the lowest level. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the main level, which is the first floor, accessed by the ramp and a stairway, the original stairway on the front. And then the second floor will have 2. The interior character of the building will be remaining pretty similar to what is originally there, with an apartment sort of built inside of the original project. Windows and historic features like that will remain and be rehabbed. And then site-wise, I'll let Dave.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I can project.
Speak as loud as you want to.
So the site is accessed from the south side of the site off of the intersection of Humbert Street and Belvedere Street. We're going to utilize the existing driveway. We are very limited by the grades, the existing grades. We can't raise the street and we can't lower the parking lot. Strange. So driveway is going to remain generally its same configuration. It will be repaved and some fine grading will be done. The site is equipped with an existing gravel parking lot, which will be paved and striped to provide 12 parking spaces. So a couple more than the required minimum. It includes 1 ADA space near the ramp that's proposed to be reconstructed. The building is currently served by a 6-inch fire suppression main and an existing water service and sewer service. We are proposing to keep the 6-inch main, replace the sewer service. It's just in bad condition, needs to be replaced, and then provide a new domestic service connection to the building to provide the appropriate separation between domestic water and domestic sewer. Other site features include increased open space on the northwest corner of the parcel, a new dumpster pad, and an enclosure around the dumpster. There's an area for bike racks, bike parking, and as Joel mentioned, that reconstructed ramp. But it's a fairly small lot that sits up high, so site-wise, there isn't a lot we can change for circulation and access. Yeah, we're fine with that.
Site lighting will be energy efficient, downcast, to meet the current requirements, so we don't have night sky lighting. It'll be a mix of some pole lighting and on building lighting. So, will be lit to make it safe for the tenants that are using the building. Pretty much, that's the big nutshell of your question. We're more than happy to answer.
Okay, before we do ask the board members if they have any questions, Dana, did you have anything to read into the record?
I do. Thank you for that. We received a letter from neighbors Michael and Regina Giroux. I've added the letter to the online packet on the website. The people here in the room, you have your paper copy. Dear board members to whom this may concern, thank you for contacting us with current information regarding potential utilization of the property at 4 Humbert Street, formerly known as the Ward 5 School, now owned by the Barre Housing Authority. Let me begin by stating that we are in a very close proximity to the property at 1 Humbert Street for 12 years and also brought it back from the dead. After residing here for this duration of time, it was natural for us to learn the functionality of the neighborhood. Although the Barre Housing Authority have been good neighbors, they really only occupied this building for a short time during this 12-year period. And the remainder of this time, this structure and site have been vacant. Along some lines, things developed, amongst them drug deals and late night rendezvous as deterioration of the site and building itself to indicate some things. To convert this building to 9 units is detrimental to the neighborhood as it does not fit the residential theme of the neighborhood. Although we feel the property should be used in some capacity, i.e. elderly assisted living or possibly professional office space among together relatively passive uses. It should be noted also that the traffic in this neighborhood is already at its limit as we have limited accessibility from Vermont 62 and other parts of town, making this very hazardous at some points during the day. Additionally, the structure and site are in horrendous condition, contributing to extremely high cost of conversion involving asbestos and lead abatement, to use just 2 examples. After speaking with some neighbors, no one wants to deal with this permanent change to the neighborhood, as well as experiencing declining property values and living standard environment. We thank you for taking this time to review this statement and ask for your consideration as to the effect of solid, long-time city residents. Sincerely, Michael and Regina Giroux.
Thank you. Okay, David, any questions, comments?
No, I think I'm pretty well set.
Okay, thank you. How about Michael?
No, the packet is very informative. Thanks.
Jeffrey?
I second what Michael just said. The packet is very informative, and I think they did a great job of laying everything out.
Thank you. Sarah?
Nobody had any questions.
I have several questions. I am interested in finding out about the exterior lighting. And I wonder if you two would take a moment and explain over the door entrances, the lighting by the ADA ramp, and any lighting for the parking lot that will be installed.
Give it a shot. So if you turn to the sheet SP1 on your packet.
You need to speak up.
Okay, turn to sheet SP1 in your packet. It looks like this.
Well, I'm happy.
Very last, I think.
Next one.
It's near that. Yeah. Right. So. yeah, all this.
There's so many people.
Yeah, we'll figure if we can give you a ton of paperwork.
Yeah. It's very good back in the very last, so.
Yeah.
Exhibit.
They turn up like this,
Yeah.
not
Right.
like a book.
Yeah, it's kind of. lame.
Thank you.
So, and I can stand here closer if you want to make the point that's helpful in bringing it up to the. So there's two different types of light fixtures shown here. So the upper ones are pole lights. And if you look at the fixture itself, you'll see that the lens of the lights on the bottom side. So like you'll see nowadays in most of the new parking lot building area, the lights are designed to shine down and within a limited area, so that we just put a minimal number of foot candles, which is the amount of light, onto the parking lot itself. So there's I think there's 1, 2, 3 pole lights shown, and they're just literally there to just provide enough light so you can get out of your car and get to the entrance to the building. On the building itself, there are light fixtures. One on the back, so on the ramp side, there's a fixture that will light the ramp. And you can get yourself up the ramp because there's no canopy over that ramp. There's also a wall light which lights one end of the parking lot there. And then there's a light fixture on the end of the building where the narrowest access is as you come into the parking lot, so that you have adequate understanding of where you're going to go to get around the building. And then a light fixture that isn't shown because it's not on the building, but it's in the canopy of the original main entry. There'll be a little, typical low LEDs or a little round flat lights in the canopy of that entry there. So that's how the lighting once is going to work at the building itself.
That's fine. Any steps been taken yet about, working on the state permit for the construction of the project and water supply permit?
We have not started our state wastewater and water supply permitting. I'd like to get through this process first, and then we'll request the additional allocation from the city. Make sure that we're in agreement with Public Works on our details and how we're going to connect to the city main. And then we'll apply for that permit.
Katrina,
Okay, that's all on start sheet or not, it's all right, it's on.
you all done?
Yeah,
Katrina,
I have a couple of questions. One, could you explain to me what's the difference between adaptable and accessible and visitable?
Yes. So the way there are two basic rule books that govern how we configure the access to the apartments in Vermont. One is, and it's ruled by mostly everybody, is the ADA. So in an ADA, and we're required to provide with under 20 apartments, at least one accessible unit, which is an ADA unit. It's some of it's lexicon and how words are used. In Vermont, they have added additional building access requirements, and there are two main areas that focus on apartments. One is adaptable and one is visitable. And basically, what governs one over the other is visitable applies mostly to the first floor level of the building, because that's the easiest access. And the requirements there really govern like where light fixtures go, entry door widths to the building, and some other entry and pathways within an apartment. Visibility is the next level up. So if you do not have an elevator, you still need to adapt apartments that are where you might have to go up a set of stairs to get to them, to certain requirements and make it better and easier to live in your apartment. And one of those is having blocking in walls and bathrooms so that you can have grab bars. And that applies down on the lower level as well, and applies to light switches, plugs, outlets, making sure they're at heights that are more easily used by everybody. So, and then when you get into a fully accessible unit, then all of the ADA rules apply. But, you know, in a 9-unit apartment building, we only need to provide one ADA unit. And then everything else, though, needs to be either adaptable or suitable regardless.
You haven't defined to me what accessible is, when you just say it's ADA thing, it's a wider.
So
building.
accessibility,
That
accessibility
are
for,
trailer facilities?
yeah, so for accessibility that meets ADA requirements, your bathroom has to be able to be navigated. Basically, it's not just the wheelchair, but the adaptability and accessibility applies to all different levels of one's abilities. But the things that get focused on in an ADA unit are the bathrooms need to have the adequate clearances to fixtures. You have the grab bars at the toilets, the shower. You need to have clearances underneath your sink so you can get up close to your sink and be able to use it. Similar rules apply to the kitchen. You need a clear workspace. Your countertops can't be higher than 34 inches. And there are, probably forgetting something else, but the idea is that it's a stricter set of rules and requirements for the ADA unit. Yeah. So,
Does adaptable units have grab bars?
they have the provisions to have grab bars.
But they're not intended at this time. I take it that there was no consideration whatsoever about having an elevator in the building.
There was consideration, but the cost and complexity because of working with the historic requirements made it not really a fit for the budget we have.
So what, with that said, what prospective population do you figure that you're gonna be renting to people? Or the downstreet health housing is expecting to rent to?
In this building, I don't think it's gonna be, it will not be a building that I'm aware of that's designated to one particular age group that has it, so it will be families and I think at one time there was folks in transition, but maybe because you can chime in from down the street.
Who is he calling on, Jim?
There's a woman online, Keziah Haviland from Down Street Housing, which he's making reference to. She's
Okay,
waving at you.
and I do need to swear you in, ma'am. If you raise your right hand. You swear testimony you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And please state your name again for the record.
I'm Keziah Haviland. I'm a project manager over at Down Street Housing and Development.
Thank you. Thank you.
So just to go back, the question is what population we intend to serve? Is that?
That's it, that's a question.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Just making sure I could hear everything okay. Yeah. So, you know, as Joel was saying, we don't necessarily have a limited age range to which we are looking at, you know, having the efficiency units and 2-bedroom units. It will probably be a mixture in terms of ages and single persons or families. We are looking to serve a lower income population in this building. They will be income restricted units up to about 50% of the area median income. Is that helpful or?
That's helpful. I'm taking it from the fact that there's only one accessible unit, that really only one handicap person qualified under handicap would be
Yes.
access.
Yes, so
And that you only have on the west elevation, you have the access, the ramp, but there's no ramp stairs on the front side for visitors to come visit the other apartments. It's just stairs.
Yeah, no, and I think that is a great observation. And as Joel mentioned, we were really hoping to get an elevator in the building, but it ended up for 9 units just being a little bit too difficult. And so we are having the one accessible unit, the ADA unit, as Joel explained, which is ready to accept persons of all different ability levels. We'll also have, as Joel explained, some of the adaptable units, which means if somebody comes in and they have different types of abilities and need the unit to be adapted, if they need the grab bars, or if we have to take out an insert under the sink. So let's say they were in a wheelchair and that wheelchair could then fit under a sink. That unit will be able to be changed without a lot of work to adapt to their needs.
But the door width that going into the apartments of the adaptables, are those wheelchair accommodating?
Yeah, Joel, you take that.
They will be, they have to be no less than, basically 32 inches square, which is the requirement for ADA as well.
Just one, if I may, one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
And looking at the floor plan, looking at the basement, I'm concerned. I live in a single family house and my husband makes a point through besides our front door and the access out to the garage. We also have a deck out back and he's assiduously cleaning the snow off in the winter time, so we can go out those doors if need be. Looking at the basement apartments, one apartment has direct access to the outside, an existing wood entry door. But the other two apartments, those folks have got to roll along or walk along and go up one of those 2 flights of stairs to even get out of the building. Is that something that was under consideration or just fitting spaces into the space?
Well, we have probably gone through 30 different iterations of how to make the building work efficiently. And there's various considerations that we need to keep in mind while we're doing it. So one, originally, we need to keep a certain number of units to make it, to make the project do. And that's in mind. The other aspects of that is we also need to meet the requirements and needs of the historic preservation folks. So they limited our ability to put in the units that we wanted to in the main part of the building because we need to keep certain historic features. So we had to figure out how do we best juggle the number of units and the needs that we have. And this is the configuration that we have. We do understand you have to come into the building and go downstairs into the apartment and you have to do the reverse to get out. That's, you know, so a tenant coming there would be seeing that, so we would have the option of that's going to do it.
Well,
May I add to that briefly? Sorry,
Sure.
is it all right if I speak?
Go ahead.
Thank you. So the other thing, and it's a little bit difficult to tell on the floor plans, but when you visit the building, one of the benefits of renovating this old school are these grand staircases that are well lit and this kind of wide hallway with these, you know, big spaces. And so I can completely understand your concern in terms of it feeling like, you know, you're going down into a basement and there's only this one way out. But there are actually, both of those staircases are reachable from the units, and it is very wide and feels very open. So it doesn't feel like you're going into some sort of claustrophobic space.
yeah, I've always understood in Barre that you can't have apartments in the basement if there isn't direct access to outside. Is the stairs considered direct access to the outside?
Yeah, this is all code compliant.
Well, then I can make an apartment in our basement, if we have stairs up to our kitchen.
Because you'd have to have a dedicated, building's fully sprinkled. That allows, it modifies the need for certain size windows. These windows actually, that are in some of these smaller units are quite large, actually. You have nice daylight there. It's how this plan works out best for the project.
Well, I do see on apartment three reference to a replace window with occupant unit. Is that for a human body to get out?
That's for ventilation and ability to get rid of that. And I suppose the body could get out there, but it's not necessary to get out.
Well, it's under, I realize you have your strictures of the historic buildings. Is it possible that windows in apartment three and apartment two could be altered such that someone could gain egress out?
They will be awning windows, so you could probably crawl out if you really wanted to get out.
On in windows, you gotta be a skinny person.
They're this
You all set?
I stop now.
No, you're fine. Good questions. I might have missed this in your site plan, but, there is a requirement that at least 50% of the units must include a private or semi-private outdoor living space. Was that addressed in your plan?
Thought I addressed it in the narrative.
I might have missed it. There's a lot to read.
Yeah. I do remember seeing that, but I thought that we could replace that with a outdoor common space, and we requested a variance because we were within a certain distance to a park or a playground. The way the site is configured, only one unit has its own entrance to the outside, and that unit actually has a small lawn area outside of it. Rest of the units all use a common door. Outdoors, so there is a dedicated outdoor space on site. The one unit that has outdoor access, there's a small lawn area there against the street. We get requested a waiver to the full open space requirement due to our proximity to a park. There's a certain distance that we had to be from a park to meet that waiver request.
Yeah, apparently it has to be at least 60 square feet in the area. And not less than 6 feet in any dimension.
The open space is definitely bigger than that. And the one unit that does have outside access, the plan. And that space outside that unit is at least 8 feet because the building is further from the property line than the setback, which is 8 feet. So it's definitely bigger than 60 square feet.
Would that satisfy Dan at the requirement?
Yeah.
Sarah, go ahead.
I just had a question that popped up when Katrina was asking, are any of these apartments going to be sensory,
Yes.
like the fire alarms and the things like that? Can you?
Yeah, so that's part of the 88 code requires a sensory adaptable apartment, an apartment with sensory features, as well as an apartment that accommodates features, physical features. And those aren't the two right words, but.
Mobility and sensory, yeah.
And those are incorporated in this.
Is it a separate apartment from the accessible?
So
unit?
that's a very good question, and the state, we just asked that question of the state because it keeps coming up and we have different interpretations of it. And the state doesn't require two different apartments for that requirement. So where we can, we will do that, and sometimes we have them in all in one apartment.
Hey, does anybody else have anything they'd like to say in respect to this application? Okay, would you raise your right hand, please? You swear the testimony about to present is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yep.
And please state your name for the record.
Chris McCoy.
Okay, you can go ahead.
I grew up right across the street from the school. I lived there for 28 years and then I just bought a house just off the street from it. And, yeah, like Mr. Drew said in his flyer, which I agree 100% what he says. It's a shame the building's being basically useless at the point. And it'd be good to be used, but at the same time, I don't agree that low-income housing would be good in our neighborhood. All our neighbors get along, we all talk to each other, we're a good like community. And literally less than a month after I bought my house, there was a guy that came up our dead end street and shot drugs right in our driveway and crashed into our garage. And just with low income housing and the problems having to marry with drugs and stuff like that, we just don't want that in our neighborhood. And it's just, we don't need any more of that stuff around here because we got a good neighborhood, got good people all around, and we don't need to change it. That's all I got to say.
I don't know who wants to answer this question, but how will the people who want to reside there, how will they be screened?
Yeah, I would say I think that's probably on me to answer. So, you know, I can't give you the exact details of that. Unfortunately, Nicola Anderson, who probably could give you a better answer, like I said, she is sick this evening. She's the director of development, but it is something that I can reach out to our property management and get more details about and send that over to Janet for you all to review. I know we do have a fairly intensive screening process, and we have a whole department that is dedicated to that process. So,
And they will go through you, your organization.
they go through Downstreet. Yes, we do. We have a whole screening process for each of our tenants. That's just, unfortunately, it's not my department. I work on the building of things. So,
Thank you, Jeffrey.
I appreciate everybody's comments, and I am completely sympathetic to listen, but I would really like it if us as a board and the public maybe not use such broad strokes over low income folks. One bad person does not make a whole population.
Thank you. Is there anything further from anyone? Michael?
Yeah, I also just wanted to add, sort of for this consideration and for the future, that we really can't think about who is going to live someplace when we consider what development is permitted there. So just I'd like to not go down this road in the future if we can avoid it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anything further? The board will go into deliberative session right after we hear these two applications. Make a decision on your application, and you will be notified. You can either call Janet in the morning, tomorrow's Friday, right? And you will receive a letter within a week of the board's decision. Okay, thank you for being here today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for serving.
Has everybody signed? Did you sign this?
Yes, I
Great,
did.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joel. Okay.
Okay, we can proceed to the next application. Do we have individuals here to speak on that?
This is for the Elks.
Yes, for the Elks, please.
Yeah, that would be me, Jim Fecto.
Okay, just 1 second. The application is from the trustees of the Barre Lot number 1535, Benevolent Protective Order of the Elks, 10 Jefferson Street. Seeks approval to construct a patio next to the building on the Jefferson Street side. UC-2 zoning district, design review overlay district. Okay, now, who is going to speak in respect to this application?
I will,
Okay.
Jim Fecto.
Okay, can you raise your right hand, please? You swear the testimony you're about to present is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name again for the record.
Jim Fecto.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, board does have your application. If there's anything you'd like to add to it, expand on, or just comment on, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I have what I hope is a simple application. The Elks is looking to expand, to have a little bit of outdoor seating. The most logical place that we came up with is on the Elm Street side, which is near the members lounge entrance. The building is currently between 20 and 25 feet from the sidewalk with the 12 by 36 patio. it would end up being, the patio would end up being between 8 and 13 feet from the sidewalk. The material used is going to depend on, I mean, it's a nonprofit, so if we can get volunteers to put in a paved patio or to help pour a concrete patio, that's what we're going to do. So we're not quite sure exactly what that's going to be at this point. And I think the fencing will be something that's down the road. I think at this point, they would like to just develop an outdoor space to, I guess, to keep people from going to other establishments in the summer. So I'm guessing probably between 30 and 35 people can sit out there. And the hours would mimic the hours of the club itself, the members lounge. The Elks does have a consumption license that covers the entire property. So, you know, I guess they would have to, if there was a problem with that, they would have to take that up with the council. But at this point, I don't think there's anything on that end that prevents this. So we're just looking to create an outdoor space for the members to sit and enjoy the weather.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Jeffrey? All set? Thank you. Michael?
I'm
All
good.
set? Thank you. David,
So I'm good here as well.
you're all set?
Yes, yeah, great.
Thank you. Peter? All set? Okay, Sarah?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about, so your application and your, statement now, you're not sure about the fencing and the lighting prior to use of the space? Is there, have you considered finishing that off before it's used for?
I guess what I'm concerned about, and I've talked to Todd, the Exalted Ruler, is we create this space, spend a bunch of money on fencing, and nobody uses it. So, you know, I think we want to kind of dip our toes into this. I mean, the quarry has literally bollards and chains, not to point anybody. I'm just saying that is exactly what separates the patrons from the road. So I'd like to leave it as a phased approach. We start with the patio with some sort of maybe a bollard, you know, with some plastic chains. And then if we see that the members are actually using the space, we invest in the fencing. That was kind of my thinking in that application.
Thank you. Sabrina?
Thank you. Mr. Pector, I have a couple of questions. One, you're talking about a poured concrete pad really adjacent to the building. Will it be attached to the building?
Yeah, it would be, well, I mean, we probably would pin it to, it's like a granite facade there. So we would dig down and pin it to, if we poured concrete, we would put rebar and pin it to the building. If we did just pavement, we probably would dig down, put a base, and then just pave. And not, you can't really pin pavement to the structure. So.
Yes, I have a question where it talks about accessory structures being attached to the building or not. So what would be the access of your members to this patio? Would they get their drinks and go down the front stairs and outside, or what?
So what they would do is I don't know if you're familiar with that entrance, but that's the members go down, ring a buzzer, and then go in. And then the members lounge is in there to the left. So it's not as convenient as it could be. We explored a bulkhead, but I think that only opens the possibility of, you know, water infiltration into the members lounge, that kind of thing. So as a test for this idea, like I said, there's a possibility that nobody will use this. So rather than spend a ton of money on a major project, the members would have to come out the door they came in, to get to the lounge, to sit outside. And during COVID, we actually had some tables set up out in the alley in the back. And that's exactly what people did. They would just come in and out. Maybe during business hours, they might leave the door unlocked to make it more convenient for people to get in and out. But that would be the access, would be the main members lodge entrance.
So you perceive the usage to be just by members? What if, you know, I know there are a lot of social events that happen in the main part of the building.
Yeah. Yeah, I think right now it would probably be limited to the members, because the easiest access would be from the members lounge. If there was an event upstairs, there's no practical way to get to that area. Because there's the entrance in the back to the elevator, and then the one on Jefferson Street for the upper hall. Those are really the two entrances for that upper hall that's public.
I guess I am concerned about additional people other than members utilizing the space, because if conceivably, you know, I've been to one party that was down in the members area.
Yeah.
People might go there. What's the insurance liability coverage that the lodge has for people injuring themselves at this new structure?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the nuts and bolts of the policy, but I know the Elks as a national organization has a liquor liability program, and I think it's really done through Grand Lodge. I don't think they buy insurance locally, so I'm without knowing the exact amount, I know that, you know, I can safely say that they're well insured for it. So.
Someone falls and skins their knees on the pavement. You'll
The
find
Elks do
out.
cover Yeah.
What type of lighting are you intending to use for that patio?
Nothing is proposed at this point. If we were to light it, I think we would probably have to come back. There was nothing in our proposal about that, so it would be daylight hours for the most part. So.
Yes, I think there is a regulation or condition of the type of lighting that would be required should you.
Yeah. If
decide
it was, you know, if you were to give us a condition that if there was lighting added to the space, that it was a downcast light, that would prevent us having to come back, but that's totally up to you. So.
And if the board did approve this patio, that would negate the necessity of people to use any other space, like the parking lot or the sidewalks or that sort of thing.
It would negate the need, but I can't control everybody's behavior. But yeah, they're pretty tight about, you know, nothing outside unless it's like during homecoming. I know they're very specific about gating off certain areas and making sure that they're not going to jeopardize their license.
Thank you. And how about, are you intending to have any kind of entertainment, music, boombox or whatever they want to call it in that area?
Right, that's a good question. I actually never even thought of that. I don't have an answer for you. If it's something that requires a permit for outdoor entertainment, then I would assume we'd have to come back and get that. But it's something that's a great question. I didn't even think about it. So.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else, Peter?
I have a question for Mrs. Shatton. Do they need any permission from the city council to be able to allow liquor beverages on the patio?
Yes. And Jim can speak to what they've got for their liquor license, the nuts and bolts of it. I don't know the specifics of their liquor license.
Yeah. Yeah, I know just a hair more than Janet does in that. Todd, the exalted ruler, told me that their liquor license does cover the entire property for consumption. So.
Okay, anything further? Jeffrey?
If people can already go outside and drink, then it would be covered.
Yeah.
And it's very specific in the liquor license. It also says where and what signage needs to be put up. You have to have signs that say no alcohol beyond this point, stuff like that. So I'm sure that they're covered.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? If not, then, as I indicated to the previous folks that were here, the board will go into deliberative session after hearing this application and the prior one. And you'll be notified. You can call Janet in the morning, or you will also receive a letter.
Sounds great.
Thank you for your participation.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too. Okay. All right. We did change the agenda around a little bit because it kind of made more sense to have the deliberative section right after the applications rather than, spend the time in between. So I'm going to entertain a motion to go into deliberative session.
So moved.
You got two so moved.
I'll second.
Okay.
Fine.
You got that down? Those in favor, raise your right hand, please. Opposed?
I raised my left hand, is that okay?
That's okay.
And I agree. Can you hear me? I've been at the meeting. I'm on a different device at home. Can you?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for acknowledging my presence. Yes, I had to switch devices and I've never been on Zoom on this device. So, but yes, I've been attending the meeting. I did join a little bit late, not too late. So I heard the first presentation and didn't want to interrupt while they were speaking, and also listen to Mr. Fecto give his presentation regarding the Elks Lodge. So no, I didn't know if I was here. So that's why I said.
Thank you, Janet, given the fact that she hasn't been present for most of the testimony, is she still entitled to?
She was present.
No, this is Jessica. You should have shown that I joined the meeting, but I'm on a
I'm sorry.
a different device here at home because my other device wasn't working properly, so I had to switch devices. But I've heard the vast majority of both presentations, and you should have seen that I did join. I'm on my Android. Didn't you see that I joined the meeting, Janet?
I apologize, I was taking notes, Jessica.
Okay, but I have to know because
Jessica, it's Jessica.
Is everybody calm? I just wanted
And when you
to
log
make sure
in,
that
it will
you
show.
knew that I had attended
Okay,
the
a little bit of
meeting.
order here. Yeah, I understand my error. You were participating and you obviously can participate in the deliberative.
I'm gonna ask her if she'd like to make her comments on either.
Yeah, do you want to
No,
make your comments now? Jessica, do you want to make your comments now before we go into the deliberative session?
No, I want the meeting to participate the way it should. That's why I didn't speak during the presentations because, it wasn't clear that you recognized that I had joined the meeting. Janet usually will say if somebody is having a problem driving from Montpelier or whatever, that, oh, Jeffrey is joining the meeting or, oh, Pete is joining the meeting. But I didn't hear her say that. So I didn't know if you even though my device was showing the participants and I was listening to the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
If you don't say, okay, Jessica joined the meeting, I'm for the heck not gonna know.
Okay, Michael.
I just wanted to note that I saw Jessica show up toward the beginning of the meeting, but I
Thank you.
regret that I did not acknowledge that.
Oh,
Okay,
no, that's okay. Janet, as the secretary, does usually say when somebody has a problem or joins a little bit late that, oh, so-and-so has joined the meeting. This is more a procedural note. It has nothing to do with our two presentations. So no, okay, great.
That's part of the problem I have with Zoom, but anyway, we're all set now.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Did we get a motion to go into deliberative session?
We've got motions, we don't have, I didn't hear a vote. We haven't voted.
No, I knew that, but
Pete made the motion.
You made a motion, you seconded it, and all those in favor of going into deliberative session, raise your right hand, please. Those opposed?
Hello, I.
I,
Okay, thank you. The board will go into deliberative session, and Janet, if you would, join us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Pause the recording. Yes. And Mr. Delport needs to leave the meeting.
Is he here?
He's online.
We just don't, how come we don't see you, David?
I'm here. Hey, Janet, you gonna be in there in the morning?
Haven't seen you for a long time.
I'm doing this. Janet, will you be in the morning?
Yes,
Cool, thanks.
thank you.
Now what, Jeffrey?
I make a motion that we accept the first application that we heard tonight as is.
Second.
Any conditions that are necessary in that application that anybody feels to be considered? I don't think you recommended, Janet, any specific. I know you made some recommendations, but I think they were addressed.
Who seconded? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sarah, okay. What I think we should start doing is if you wouldn't mind, is put a condition that says any immaterial changes can be accepted by the zoning administrator. So if, somebody's plan falls apart, they know they've got to come back to you guys.
Okay, that's a good recommendation. Okay, Jeffrey, do you want to amend your motion?
Yep, add that, please, Janet.
Thank you. I'm okay with that.
And you're seconding it? Okay, all those in favor say aye or raise your right hand.
I,
Those opposed, hearing none, the application is approved with that added condition.
Yes.
Okay, so now that's it, right? Okay,
I would make a motion to table the application for the trustees of the Barre Elk Lodge. For more information, including materials, barrier, lighting, music, and site plan.
yeah, okay.
Second.
Those in favor say aye or raise your right hand. Opposed? Hearing none, this application is tabled until we receive further information. Okay, other business?
Just a quick question of procedure. Does that require them to submit a new application with a new application fee?
Other business? Hearing none, roundtable, hearing none. Executive session not needed. What would you like to do?
Roundtable, I'd just like to say congratulations to you, Linda, and to Jeff on reappointment as chair and vice chair.
Oh, thank you. You weren't here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. Okay, motion to adjourn.
Hello.
So moved.
Yeah, okay, now we only need one so moved. There's a
Well,
delay.
pick your
Yeah, there was a delay
poison.
from you, so we'll take Sarah's first. Peter, you can second it.
Second.
And all those in favor say aye or raise your right hand.
I.
Okay, none opposed, so we will now adjourn this meeting at 8:10.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank
Have a
you,
good night.
David.
Thank
Good to
Good
see
night, everyone.
Good night.